Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing great. And that you're all having a wonderful day. Don't forget to leave a like. It is a free and easy way to help out the channel every single day just by clicking the like button. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. You know what time it is. If prices go up, people pretend this isn't happening. If prices go down, people pretend this also isn't happening. If there's a bit of a seesaw situation where prices are going and swinging back and forth, this takes place nearly every single day, but the numbers are getting a little bit more insane, or actually they've always kind of been a little crazy. But most people tend to not pay too much attention to them. It says, in a noteworthy development within the Bitcoin ecosystem, five different whale addresses collectively have purchased 2,780 Bitcoin, valued at approximately $192.4 million since the 1st of November. Let me give some kind of clarity for this. The numbers that we have heard quite recently, I want to say 5 to 10 days ago, the days are kind of blending into each other for me. We heard from some analytical something that I believed that there were roughly around 100 million people around the world who are currently into crypto. According to this report, they said that their guesstimates are now between 400 million to 500 million people on the planet who are actually into and buying up crypto, and more so the article that was there was about Bitcoin, which was actually quite astronomical of a sum, because we typically for years only heard the 100 million, but I guess they have more metrics than we do, so alas, 500 million. During that discussion, we were talking about the actual accumulation of Bitcoin by the people at the very, very, very top. We tend to hear that there are a couple thousand addresses that have over 100 Bitcoin each. There's X amount of addresses that have over 1,000 Bitcoin each. And it kind of continuously goes this way as we normally hear about whales. Whales usually being discussed as an entity, a person, a wallet that has over 1,000 Bitcoin. You will sometimes see whales even mentioned as over 100 Bitcoin. People may scoff at that, but it's an enormous amount of money. And you actually need less and less Bitcoin every single time to be even considered a whale. Like years ago, I think it was like you needed 100,000 Bitcoin, then 50,000 as Bitcoin's price goes higher and higher. Eventually, when Bitcoin's at 1 million or 3 million, you'll probably, and I say this lightly, only need around 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Bitcoin to actually be considered a whale. So when we get news like this, the reason why I said earlier is that most people tend to not pay attention. I think that's more of a personal thing on my side, is that I want more people to pay attention, and seeing that we are witnessing the world actively changing in front of us, and Bitcoin is being used more and more, and the system continues to adopt Bitcoin and buy Bitcoin, and governments are mining Bitcoin, and the ETFs continue to buy Bitcoin, and all that kind of stuff. Hearing that since the 1st of November, there were 5 addresses that bought almost 1/5 of $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, that's quite staggering. The amount of Bitcoin for everyday normal people continues to decrease. I don't even know at this point, to be completely honest. It's more of a I cannot check every single comment every single day. So I do wonder sometimes if this is like an actual worry for people out there, i.e., if Bitcoin does go to millions of dollars per coin, I ask, do you feel like you have enough? Do you feel like a lot of this conversation is overblown, overstated? Do you think that it's okay for 5 addresses to have purchased a fifth of $1 billion worth of Bitcoin? Do you feel, and I ask this as well, do you actually feel that Bitcoin is for the masses, or do you think that Bitcoin is for the lucky few? That was also a conversation that took place in 2017, 2018. There are a lot of people who believe that Bitcoin should just be in the hands, or rather is in the hands of those who were smart enough to buy it. And that's something that I personally disagree with, because I want all of you to also share in this gigantic pie as well, and not just the Elon Musks, the Dell guy, the Novogratses, and all that other kinds of stuff. It says this substantial accumulation occurred despite Bitcoin's recent, and I dare say recent, price dip below $70,000. We always get a lot of Bitcoin was bought up despite the price dropping. Bitcoin's price was so-and-so and whales still bought. Whales buy because the price is lower. If they planned on pushing in $200 million and they see that the price dipped at any point, as we were seeing, I think since even the beginning of this month, if you weren't paying attention to prices, in a span of a few days, we were at 68, then we went to 70, then 73, then what was it, 67 once again, then back up to 70, then back down. So these movements are actually, this is not financial advice. These movements are usually excellent for whales and people typically looking to get into the market because they want, obviously, to have a lower price. Look On Chain, a leading blockchain analytical firm, reported on Twitter that 5 prominent whale addresses have significantly increased their Bitcoin holdings over the past few weeks. The total acquisition of 2,780 BTC underscores a strategic investment approach by these large holders, often signaling bullish sentiment or a strategic positioning ahead of anticipated market movements. These people, I mean, let's not pretend that this is some kind of like magic trick that is like the first time that we're ever seeing this. These people have been buying Bitcoin for the last 10 years. Incessantly. They have not stopped. They're only going to continue buying more. It's just more of the news basically is 2,708 Bitcoin has been kind of taken off of the table. We tend to always, last thought, we tend to always hear about news like this in a exaggeratedly amazing manner, and that, you know, there's less Bitcoin on the table now. Without actually realizing that we're only hearing about these 5 entities, basically anyone else, air quotes, below them, who only purchased 15 million, 35 million. They didn't make it into the news because those numbers weren't big enough. We get purchases like that all the time. So realistically, it's probably 10 to 15,000 Bitcoin just by a handful of whales was actually taken off of the market in just a month's time, and that is not including the actual ETF issuers either. That's the 5 whales, and I truly do ask, like, does it bother you that people buy this much Bitcoin? Comma, is it because you want it for yourself? You would like to have a piece of that pie, or because you think it's kind of a free for all and that only 12,000 people on the planet should own Bitcoin? You know, these are real questions that I have. That's the Bitcoin whales news. And yeah, let's move on. In a continuation of very popular news, the SEC has confirmed that they have received Grayscale's application to convert their digital large cap fund into a multi-asset crypto ETF. The expected decision is anywhere from a month and a half to around 3 months. This is normally because the SEC always finds a way to delay some kind of answer to the company who has filed for an ETF or at least historically, over the last 11 years, that's the way that it's been. 2 weeks ago, Grayscale filed their application, which aims to convert the GDLC into an ETF. People are very excited about this. If you did not hear about this, basically Grayscale has a number of funds. They sued the SEC before, and this is mainly the reason why we actually have Bitcoin ETFs, at least in the US of A. Grayscale created another fund recently, the Digital Large Cap Fund, which basically mainly comprises Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP. And people think that if basically the SEC doesn't want another lawsuit on their hands, they're probably going to let this one go, which would then mean that Solana and XRP officially would, in essence, be a part of and have their own space in a cryptocurrency ETF, because the expectations are, as we've seen before, Bitcoin pumped up in price continues to do relatively well, or weller than other assets. Based off of the inflows that we have been seeing into the actual Bitcoin ETF since the beginning of this year, you get the idea. Solana, incredibly popular for whatever reason. XRP, people have been standing behind this coin for a very long time. We heard multiple times from the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, that he believes that next year is going to be the year for XRP to actually have an ETF, if not multiple ETFs. If these things go through, and I dare point specifically to these coins, they would begin to do exceptionally well comparative to other coins. But this would also then start the mad dash of other companies trying to get as many other altcoins into ETFs as well. There's going to be a cascade effect. This is going to happen. This isn't a question mark as to if we're ever going to see altcoin ETFs. They're going to happen. I think next year is probably going to be the time frame for them, from the vantage point of the year after the halving is always when the market tends to do extremely well. If the market does really well and companies with larger pockets basically throw their weight around, that would then give us a lot of different ETFs for a lot of different coins. Which I'll also throw in, I do think that we are going to live in a multi-asset cryptocurrency world. I think that Bitcoin itself is going to outperform the other rest of the market, as it has been doing for a very long time. If you missed the news a while ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, people were talking about how Bitcoin was a full $1 trillion ahead of Ethereum. I think that this is always going to be the thing. I think Bitcoin will always be number one, but I do think we're going to see around 10 to 15 different coins. I don't know if we have all these coins yet. Some of them might be created in the future, but a lot of, I think we're going to live in a multi-crypto world where basically, these other coins kind of coexist. They have their own corner that they stay in. Bitcoin will probably be 50, 60, 70% of the market. And the other coins, I think, are also going to be around for a very long time. So we will see what other coins get approved for a multi-crypto ETF and or their own ETFs. If in our last point, anyone that, if you see BlackRock specifically going for one coin, that coin is probably going to be around for a very long time. That's why when we saw them going after Bitcoin and Ethereum, I was like, okay, they're going to be around for at least the next 100 years. That's the SEC has confirmed that they have the application from Grayscale. Let's see what ends up happening. And yeah, let's move on. I don't want to call this stupid news, but it's more of a... people were reporting on this news as if it was something miraculous or something that we didn't know about or something that kind of came out of the blue. We're seeing a large amount of people, and I don't want to call them necessarily investors, you'll see why. People around the world who are kind of flocking to cryptocurrencies. We've heard a lot about them over the last few years. Surveys have been done, and this one in particular made very popular news because people were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. This is something for the future. But then I'm going to explain why it's actually happening. It says investors in Turkey are increasingly favoring cryptocurrencies over traditional assets such as real estate and stocks. This is according to a recent survey by crypto exchange in Turkey called Paribu, Paribu. The 2024 Cryptocurrency Awareness and Perception Survey gathered insights from over 2,000 individuals familiar with cryptocurrency, 541 of whom were actively involved in crypto trading itself. The study sought to gauge public awareness and perceptions of digital assets while delving into the motivations and obstacles facing cryptocurrency investors. The report's findings indicate a strong appetite for crypto investments, reflecting broader economic and technological changes in Turkey's investment climate. So you would hear something like this and you would kind of assume that there's like light bulbs going off over people's heads and they go, oh my gosh, crypto, I love it. It's absolutely incredible. Bitcoin, let's go buy some more of it. For those of you who are or have been relatively, potentially, blissfully unaware of what's actually been happening in a number of countries. You know how like the fear has been for a while and was since 2020 of the US dollar like hyperinflating and not doing well, reaching 8% inflation. Oh my gosh, US dollar is about to crash. Well, at the same exact time, other countries were and still are going through very intense forms of inflation. For those of you not looking at the screen, Turkey's current inflation rate is still 48%. In May, it was 75%. There were a number of news articles, I'm sure they were paid, who were basically clapping and saying, oh yes, inflation has definitely come down. But you might have noticed it was 61%, 64%, it reached 75% inflation. This has not just been going on for this year or even the last 4 years. It's been going on for a very long time. The news stories that we received and have been seeing, especially if you watch documentaries or any type of news, is that basically people in a lot of different countries have kind of realized that their country's economic policies are absolute garbage, and it has ravaged and destroyed the savings of hundreds of millions of people around the world. As such, the news that we've been getting is that a lot of people in Turkey and Argentina and El Salvador and you name it have kind of actually turned to Bitcoin, not because they like the sound of it when they say it, but because of current economic conditions within their country. There have been people who they had interviews with before who said, I bought Bitcoin. And it's even crazier because their entire savings have been wiped out over the last 5 to 10 years in multiple different countries. These people had, maybe $3,000 equivalent saved, which was their life savings. And it became around $14. So these people took that money and they threw it into Bitcoin. And they were like, well, Bitcoin's the only thing that's actually performing well right now. It's not that people in Turkey don't have an appetite for real estate or for stocks. It's that their money, the valuation of it continues to implode. So when you realize the money that you had to buy a home, or at least the down payment, is now only the equivalent of $220, what do you invest in? So a lot of people have been turning to cryptocurrencies and more so Bitcoin as a literal alternative to their money losing all of its value. If you weren't here for the last few years, there have been a sprinkling of news stories around. Well, the most famous one you might remember, the people from Dubai going to Turkey, going to Istanbul, and they were buying stuff from Louis Vuitton, and they were asking these people, why are you here? And they said, because stuff here is 60 to 70% less than it is back home. So they were walking out with 15 bags, Louis Vuitton bags. Like, really? Like it's not a joke. They said it's so much cheaper here, so we decided to do it. So then a lot of other people were also and have been going on vacations in Turkey. I mean, really 5-star hotels, staying for 2 weeks, and it cost them $200, $300. This keeps making the news as like a really, oh my gosh, look how amazing it is to go there and, to have fun and go surfing and enjoy the sun. But if you watch real documentaries about millions of people who are living under these circumstances, there was one story where this woman, she said, I can't afford tomatoes. I don't know what I'm going to do. Another guy was saying that he lived in, I don't know if it was a rough part of town, air quotes, but he was saying that his rent, they had it on the screen, was the equivalent of around $220. He said the owner got annoyed because the valuation of his property had gone down. So he kicked this guy out of where he was living. And the guy said he saw it a month or two later on Airbnb for hundreds of dollars per night because the owner also wanted to make money. So therefore, normal people suffer. So, yes, the appetite is growing for people in these countries who want to invest in crypto. And it's not because they're like, have some extra money to throw around. No, they're in dire economic straits. It's been happening for a very long time. It says collapsing Turkish lira makes life harder than ever. This is an article from 2021. Soaring inflation and a collapsing currency. Why is Turkey's economy in such a mess? Like I said, I mean, I understand people wanting to write articles or things like that, but so many things within the cryptocurrency space tend to have a very weird kind of the word's not optimism, but they don't give you the entire full story. And I think that's because a lot of people in the investment world, but also in crypto, and also people who write cryptocurrency articles, they don't really know what's happening around them or on the planet. Remember in 2020, you remember what happened at the beginning of 2020. For about 6 months, how many news articles? Well, I can tell you, it was like over 180 because, daily crypto news. These news articles were constantly writing, Bitcoin's going down, but no one can figure out why. Why is Bitcoin dipping in price? It just doesn't make any sense. Bitcoin just fell below 10,000. What's happening in the market? Not one article was mentioning anything that was happening in the world. And this still happens now. So much it's not even misinformation. It's like stupidification. I think that also works as well of the cryptocurrency market. People continuously, they'll take a string, like a piece of fabric, one string, and they'll hand it to you, but they won't tell you that it comes from an entire blanket. Like they will not give you the entire story or let you know the full thing. Yeah, I pulled this one string, where's the rest of it? The world is, this last couple of years have been crazy. Like crazy. And a lot of the crypto news, and it also translates into crypto Twitter as well. People sit there and they go, well, why is Bitcoin going down today? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's like, you haven't looked at the news, have you? No one you're talking to has looked at any kind of news. No one's informed as to what's going on. Economic policies, nothing. Okay. I understand, the news can and is often a lot. I do understand wanting to, I don't want to use the word avoid it, but buddy boy, you gotta be up to date because a lot has been happening. Yeah, this has been a common trend that has been going on for a number of years. And this is also why it's so weird The cryptocurrency space and so many people in the market are obsessed with new people getting in the market. But when we hear that Bitcoin is actually being adopted and used for its intentional purpose, that is, it was created by Satoshi, one individual or a group of people, no one knows, to actually combat inflation. It was meant for people around the world to kind of wake up and go, hey, inflation's really bad. I can't keep living with these economic conditions. I'm going to buy some Bitcoin. That's why the idea of everyone having 300,000 Satoshis is such a powerful thing. Bitcoin is being used by the world, by the masses. We no longer need the old system. So when we see the old system collapsing and falling apart, and people in crypto just completely ignore it or pretend, you understand, like, while the economic situation is terrible for people in many places around the world, that's why I always say count yourself lucky. We forget how lucky that we are to have running water, to have internet, to have a phone that you can listen to, watch stuff on, when you hear that people are using Bitcoin, these new people who are entering the market every single day, and they also do well, that's a net positive for the world, but also for Bitcoin. The point of Bitcoin is to have normal people in the market, getting into the space, making the network stronger. Not for billionaires to be buying up all of it or buying up $200 million over the course of a few days. Right. So I know that people disagree with me. I had someone on Twitter a couple days ago tell me I was paraphrasing here, being like a goody two shoes because I keep saying that I want everyone to be happy. I do. I want everyone to have money. I want everyone to live a great life. I want everyone to benefit from the cryptocurrency space and the crypto market. I didn't think that would be controversial to say, but alas, here we are. I think that's definitely going to do it for this video. I do hope that you are all having a great day. Hope you're all having a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting every single day. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.